What's going on, y'all? Sean of Back to Basics Fitness with Sean here. And in this video, I want to talk about how I regained my confidence after dislocating my shoulder. Now, confidence specifically to exercise. So I'm several years removed from dislocating my shoulder now. It is 2026. I dislocated my shoulder in 2018. So it's been over 8 years. And when I first dislocated my shoulder in April 2018, I had to wear a sling for several weeks. I think it was 6 weeks, but I think I talk about it in one of my videos about a year removed from that. So I think it was about 6 weeks of absolutely nothing. Now, because I was one who exercised a whole lot, it was really a bummer because I was doing lots and lots of repetitions of calisthenics and whatnot, preparing for the obstacle course race that I had ultimately injured myself in. But yeah, it was about 6 weeks of absolute inactivity. And I know if you're somebody who just dislocated your shoulder and you're watching this video, trust me, I understand how it is for exercise to be your pastime, to be something you really enjoy, and then just to have to put it on the shelf for weeks and weeks and weeks. It sucks, for lack of better words. But with me, even though I was bummed out about that, I knew that if I rushed back into things, then all I was gonna do is kind of like risk dislocating again, risk not really healing. So I just did what I need to do. I wore that sling that held my arm, kind of like this to my side faithfully. Even at night, I was laying in bed with my arm up like this. And, that kind of came with its own kind of negative effects. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Then I did PT, physical therapy, which lasted for a long time. It's kind of hard to know exactly how long it took, but I figured that there is some sort of prescribed length of time that physical therapists or occupational therapists give. I just know it was many weeks going in twice a week at least for physical therapy. And then I was given my own bands, and I was encouraged to do the stuff on my own. Okay. And I talk about the exercises in a different video. But after I finished PT and was doing all that stuff on my own, here's how I regained confidence. One, every time before I would begin doing exercise, I had already kind of committed myself to warming up with the same exercises that I did, some of the same exercises I did in physical therapy. So you're talking about internal rotations, external rotations, lateral lifts, and then I think I was also pulling in the other direction. So like you lift up this way and then also like pulling the other way. Okay. I was doing those as a warm-up to warm up the joints and to kind of help to continue to facilitate strengthening and healing and all that kind of stuff. The type of exercises that I started with to rebuild my confidence were stuff like push-ups, but I wasn't going to be necessarily doing push-ups from what I recall, just off the floor. Off the floor. I was going to be doing stuff like maybe off of a stair or something like that. And keep in mind, because I have been wearing a sling for so long, I was also dealing with muscular imbalances, some of which, to be honest, I still deal with to this day. But push-ups off of a stair, a raised platform, and I did those for a while until I got down to the floor again. What else was I doing? So I was doing chin-ups. So we're talking underhand, okay? I can't remember exactly how long it took me to get the chin-ups, but I was doing those. I'm pretty sure when I did those, I used the assisted machine. Meaning that I was, the machine where you put your knees on the machine and it kind of offsets some of your weight as you do pull-ups. Because I wanted to make sure that I was not just jumping into like putting all that weight on my shoulder joints. But I was not doing front hand. I wasn't doing like your traditional pull-up. It took me a while before I got back to those. I think it took me at least about a year or so to get back to front hand, forward facing palms pull-ups, in other words. I wasn't immediately doing dips either. It took me quite a while after that to become more confident in doing dips. I think it took me about 2 years. I think I talked about that in the video as well. I think it took me about 2 years to go back to dips, but you know, I was already working the same muscles through push-ups and whatnot. But I was a little nervous about dips because just you know, if you know about dips, you know, like they're pretty intense and you're really getting in there. Sometimes they can put a lot on the shoulders. The thing about it though, the most risky moves to do, I say risky, when it comes to shoulder dislocation, are moves that have your arm out like this, up and then out to the side like this. So that's why I avoided pull-ups. And when I did pull-ups, I built my confidence by doing more narrow grip. That way I don't have my arms all the way out like so. I have them more like here, so it's kind of like a little more protective when it comes to, you know, my shoulder joints. Okay, so because calisthenics was the main thing I was doing, then that was really the only adjustments I had to make. I just waited for a while to add in pull-ups, you know, the forward-facing palm, and dips. Now, what I injured myself in was kind of like monkey bars kind of stuff. Kind of. And so those, I haven't really done that stuff as much because the main thing that I avoid now is full extension, dead hangs. Now I have done those. I actually did one by accident several months ago and then I realized what I was doing, but I felt okay. But I tend to avoid those for the most part because just out of an abundance of caution, but I can do them because I've done them before. I avoid dead hangs. And if I do monkey bars, which I've only done them maybe somewhat one time, then I'm keeping my elbows tucked in a bit because, you know, the vulnerable position is when you come out like this. But the key is a lot of people who watch my videos are really, really bummed out because you can't exercise and you really, really enjoy exercise as a hobby. But what I can't stress enough is two things. One, take your time. You really have to like just accept the fact that you need to take your time and let that joint heal and you know, and just focus on that. It's going to take a while. You have to accept that. You know, but it could take a shorter amount of time if you just kind of go ahead and work with the process of healing. The second point is the most important point. Yes, you could focus on the fact that you can't exercise and you dislocate your shoulder. What if I dislocate my shoulder again? All this kind of stuff, but it's not going to help you. The best thing that you can focus on, in my opinion, from my experience, is getting your shoulder back better than it was before. That's the best thing, your focus. And it might even kind of sound kind of like, you know, well, yeah, I know that's what you're supposed to say, but it really is true. When a lot of people ask me and I see that they're really struggling, that's the best thing I can give you. And it's the honest thing I can give you because it's what I did. Because I knew I wanted to return to exercise. I knew that like totally stopping my exercise was not an option for Sean. So I was like, I'm getting better. I'm going to avoid surgery. I'm going to take whatever process I need to take to get my shoulder back to the very best that it can be. So I'm willing to go through whatever process, but that is my focus. I'm not thinking about what if I dislocate again. I'm not thinking about what if my shoulder joint is loose. I'm not even accepting that. I'm just doing everything. I'm doing my PT. I'm doing, you know, my stretches. Faithfully before every workout, I'm doing my exercises or whatever. I would stretch after and then do the exercises before. But I'm doing these things faithfully because this is what I'm going to get. This is the outcome I'm going to get, period. And that's the most important thing that you can do to regain your confidence. Make sure your focus is in the right place. Otherwise, you'll scare your own self, okay? So hopefully this is helpful. Let me know in the comments if it's helpful because I've gotten literally hundreds of comments from people who are really, really scared and really nervous. I've been there. This is really the best I can give you. Let me know if it helps you. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and take care.